So I'm Georgia, and as Larissa said, I'm the editor of Kinfolk magazine. We're a slow lifestyle magazine based here in Portland, Oregon. And I want to preface this by saying I'm part of the editorial team, not the design team, so you're probably about to see a lot of really bad Photoshop. So don't judge Kinfolk based on this. As you could imagine, I see some pretty weird pictures every now and then, and this is one of the recent ones. Danson Toothpicks, a toothpick company. They only make toothpicks. The toothpicks are made out of the white birch wood from the last mill in America and are soaked in single malt whiskey. And apparently there's a market for this. And it really kind of got to me because I was thinking of this idea of like do one thing and do it well, which I feel is something that a lot of creative people try to teach us is if you can find your niche and if you can be better at it than what anyone else can, then you're going to succeed in your business. But at the same time, sometimes doing one thing and doing it well can be hard. For an example, Sunlan on Mississippi Street in Portland. Kay Newell is known as the light bulb lady. She's been there since 1989 and she only sells light bulbs. We see other people do this in Portland, like Nong's Chicken and Rice, one of the few places you can go and just order one of something. Trophies, flags, salt. But there's also a flip side to it that I feel that other university lecturers are talking to us about, which is being a jack or a Jill of all trades. So instead of doing one thing, you're expected to be able to do lots of things very well. I like to call these people slashies because they're like a photographer slash producer slash designer. And there's a difference between doing that in a freelance format and doing that in a company format. Because when you have two ideas, you combine two communities. And by doing that, you're enhancing both of those communities, possibly doubling your revenue potential, and it also gives you a gimmick, and that gimmick is really important. So I feel that when Spin Laundromat Bar, which is a laundromat bar toasty place just off Mississippi, right next to my house, when that opened up, everyone lost their minds over it. It was a project as part of an MBA that Morgan Gary did in sustainable business, and it just kind of took that drudgery of like laundromats out of it. But it's actually not an original idea, and it's happening all over the world with some amazing puns, like Bar of Soap in Asheville, North Carolina, which has 40 different beers on tap. Brainwash in San Francisco is also very popular, and this is a really common idea in Europe as well, where you see cafes that look better than what most cafes here do. And it makes you think, if you just add beer, anything becomes fun, really. So as soon as you kind of take an idea that you have and apply it with another thing, suddenly your business idea becomes more than just that. Like there's this great place called Sycamore in Brooklyn, where for $10 you can get a bouquet and a beer. If you don't drink alcohol, then there's coffee, juice, tea. Bike peddlers in Brooklyn, they do juice and also bike repair at the same time. Record stores where you can also get a coffee. There's a place in London where you can design 3D stuff, get it printed on a 3D printer, and have a coffee while you're waiting. There's also the idea of a better use of space, because the idea of if you've got a business space and you're using it during the day, what do you do with it at night? It's utilizing a space in multiple ways. So there are numerous places that during the day, they sell furniture. During the night, they serve food on the tables and the chairs that you are eating at, and you can choose to buy the furniture at the end of the meal. Hairdressers are often, also really popular. You have the Modern Barber Bar in Portland. In Graceland in Brooklyn, you can get tattooed and your hair cut at the same time. This picture is Hurakwandi in London, where you can get Korean food and a haircut, which kind of like brings up some slightly weird hygiene issues, maybe. But anything, if you combine anything that you would normally do at once, like there's this great bar called Beauty Bar in Manhattan where you can get a martini and a manicure for $20. Like, that's a better use of your time. Ma Petite Shoes in London, you can get both chocolate and shoes, which is like a perfect breakup gig, I reckon. So what do all these spaces share, really? It's the idea that two heads can be better than one. And by creating two things, you create a new middle ground. It's kind of like a Venn diagram where you can, if you can find that middle ground that no one else is using, that's going to give you a competitive marketing edge. And also, everyone loves to call themselves a curator nowadays, so it's a way to curate two things together. So don't just think about what you're good at, but think of how you can make it more marketable. Because there's a chance that whatever you're good at, other people are also good at. So how can you make that stand out from other people? So I've come up with a few ideas, and if anyone takes these on, I want 20% of the net profit. So the first one is a dog and human groomer. So I'm thinking about timeliness and space, right? So the people who pamper their pooches are also probably likely to want to pamper themselves. But to do your dog's nails and your hair at the same time, it's a marketable opportunity. Another one that I thought, which kind of comes more into thinking of two spaces that are linked or could in some way be linked, a liquor store and a psychiatrist. So thinking of like, so what's the service that you can provide, and then how would that possibly be able to provide another service? It's self-help in two different ways, right? Diagnosis based on your drink choice. We all know what gin means. So also looking at, because let's face it, we all need one, thinking of what people could also use at the same time you're providing one avenue. So taking a space or a service, if you're a service-based person, and going, how can I team up with someone else in order to be able to provide both things at once? So this is my favorite, Spin Cycle. It's a laundromat spin class place. So while you're doing your laundry, you can go and do a spin class at the same time. The one problem I have with this is that you want to wash your workout gear. So maybe you have to do it naked. I haven't really got there. If anyone can let me know, like, I'd be interested in business opportunities. So that's kind of the whole idea. It's the Jack and Jill of all trades. If you can't find your Jack or your Jill, team up with someone else who might be able to, because that's how you're going to have the best kind of creative intersections and be able to make a business that is marketable and more profitable. Thank you.